Toy soldiers enduring 100 hours of SF training. Let's go. Now, brief intro to this program. It's a UDT group that does private training. And the last one I did, look in the description, was about a bunch of fat slobs, a Twitch streamer, a YouTuber, and a rapper. Now, these guys are doing something similar, but they're supposed to be some squared away young men, looks like, and a Korean viewer sent it, so stand by. Let's keep going.
왜 이렇게 다들 불편하게 있으시죠?
되게 편했어요.
편하신 거 맞죠?
안녕하십니까. 다 어디 끌려가는 것처럼 얼굴만 웃고 있지 다 안 웃고 있지.
다들 자지리 때 맞죠?
이인일개.
이거 지금 안 먹으면 좀 이따 생각.
그러니까
억지로 쓰시는
식사 편안하게 하시고 7시 반에 출발하도록 할게요. 7시 반에 출발하도록 할게요.
마지막 친구니까. 마지막 닭가슴살 것 같아가지고. 이런 거 안 좋아한다니까.
혹시 저 첫인상
I suspect the smoking and joking and carrying on is about to end. Let's keep going.
어떠신가요?
첫인상? 네. 좋아요.
감사합니다. 역시 줄리엣가.
저 겉모습으로 판단하네요.
감사합니다. 제 오해를 좀 많이 받고요. 감사합니다. 그럼 저는 몇 살 같아요? 뒤로 가요.
원래 내가 입에다 타겟팅을
어저께 이제 예약을 잡고 이제
도움이 돼요.
Wow, what a tub. Tell this is pretty recent. They're all getting masked up, temperature taken, COVID precautions, you know, the whole routine now, the new normal.
소원 알려드렸습니까? 네, 자 이동하시겠습니다. 네, 2번입니다. 힘의 길. 네, 3번 교육생입니다. 네, 이 과장님. 네, 4번 교육생입니다. 홍구님 12번입니다. 비밀유지 계약서랑 훈련 서약서인데 잘 읽어보시고 일단 이거 먼저 작성을 해주실게요.
Yeah, the disclaimer, if you get hurt, it's your fault. If you break yourself, it's your fault. If you die, it's your fault. Now, any good lawyer will pick through that, but these guys have the same crap we do with a disclaimer. You know, you're going into something that's dangerous. And since you're not employed by the U.S. government, you got to fill this out. When you're employed by the U.S. government, they disclaim away all liability for everything. I guess you could say they give you the VA on the back end, but you know how that goes.
공간이 조금 있어서
파스요? 캐터 좀 갖다 주실래요, 매니저님? 자, 교육생분들 잠시 전달 사항이 있습니다. 훈련을 들어갈 경우에는 자진 퇴교를 하실 수가 있습니다. 퇴교 방법에는 총 4가지가 있어요. 첫 번째 자진 퇴교, 두 번째 부상 퇴교. 부상으로 인해서 내가 이제 더 이상 훈련을 받지 못한다. 이럴 경우에 부상 퇴교. 세 번째는 기준 미달. 다른 동기생들에 비해서 너무 수준 이하로 이제 뭔가 동작을
Now, these guys in this program take it very seriously. Look in the description for the channel I got this from. It's a great channel. It's out of Korea. But this training cadre, they seem like the most serious of any of these rally programs I've seen. They seem to have disdain for these guys acting like jackasses, at least in the other program, which was, like I said, a rapper, a streamer, and a YouTuber. So you can imagine that crew. Take a look at those guys. They were totally unprepared.
수행하거나 이럴 경우 기준 미달. 네 번째는 동기생 및 교관 평가가 있습니다.
Now, those exercises look absolutely terrible. I don't know what they're called. You guys have told me in the chat before, in the description. I don't remember ever doing those, but I think it would be a good thing to do. Now, today, there's no possible way I could do it, but it looks like a great exercise. If you guys have done them, put it in the comments and let me know your thoughts. We got the foreboding music, right? So something bad's going to happen. It is a long introduction to the training segment. Never seen this, so I'm playing along. I have a feeling this is, if it's anything like the last video, this is going to be tough for these guys because these training cadre do not play. So it wasn't a flashbang. It was maybe a baby flashbang. No smoke, but you know, a good way to get woken up when you're not used to it. Take aside a drill instructor taking a trash can or just dumping racks. Same idea here. They're not used to it. Now, when you've been doing it a while, right? Just call it boot camp. In the Marine Corps, you're used to when they're going to come in at 0400. So you're awake naturally at 0350. That looks right. No people around.
앉아볼 안 해! 여섯! 일곱! 여덟! 아홉! 일어나! 뒤로 치치! 뒤로 치치! 뒤로 치치! 선택! 대답 안 해요, 교육생? 네! 앞으로 뭐든 대답 앞으로 그냥 나겠어?
다리 들어. 하기 싫어? 아닙니다. 일어나 하기 싫어? 아닙니다. 일어나 하기 싫어? 아닙니다. 일어나 하기 싫어? 아닙니다. 왜 악이야?
Now, the water, for example, there, the hose, does it bother you? Is it going to hurt you? No, everybody's been sprayed in their face. Let me give you an example. So you're at Paris Island, and there's sand fleas, right? No seams that'll dig into you. Are they going to kill you? No. Can you scratch? No. What does that do? You develop some disciplines, like the water in the face here. Doesn't make any difference. They're not surf torturing them. They're not waterboarding them. But they are just one more annoyance to hopefully you build up a system in your brain where little things don't bother you, right? So the water, the leg lifts, the sandy crotch, the sand flea example, or the no-see-ums where they start gnawing at you. All that little stuff makes a difference. So hopefully you don't get affected by it down the road and whatever your job is in the military.
하기 싫어? 아닙니다. 하기 싫어? 아닙니다. 똑바로 알겠어?
교육생! 교육생! 저기 김교관이 보이죠? 돌아가 선착순 한 명, 실시. 빨리 뛰어!
You know, one thing when you've been in the military or a job where you work nights, or you just a stressful job, you get used to operating on very little sleep. So that becomes a thing, right? So it's military in particular. Most guys don't sleep a lot after they've been out a while. When they're in, because they're not sleeping a lot, you just become accustomed to it. It's early training, and it's one of the few things that probably sticks with most guys. If you guys have that experience where you don't need a lot of sleep, you can operate on 2 or 3 hours of sleep with no problem, where before you went in, if you didn't get 8, you were just totally wrecked.
앉아볼래? 앉아볼 안 해? 정신 안 차려? 교육생 지금 들어가면
You know, a lot of guys will ask the question, what kind of training should they do for boot camp? Run 3 miles. And I always say, I wish I would have done this. Sprint, jog. And why? Why the sprinting? Because you can see, this is just like normal boot camp training in the Marine Corps. There's a lot of running activities where you're sprinting somewhere fast and stopping. So if you don't have that kind of activity well baked into your soul, you're going to get tired quick. So the 3 mile long jogs aren't a big deal. Everybody can get used to that. But the high intensity runs, sprints, that's where you really want to make a difference in your training program. Because as you can see, they're running 50 yards, stopping, resting for 30 seconds, sprinting again. So if you've got that kind of endurance, it's going to make things a lot easier. These guys aren't the best example, but let's keep going.
가짜 사나이 위기 아슬란 교관입니다. 기상훈련의 의의라는 거는 교육생들에게 혼란을 주는 겁니다.
You know, the wake-up training, everybody's seen that in a video about any kind of boot camp where the drill instructor walks in, takes a trash can and tosses it. That happens, but typically after a few days in training, you know what time they're coming in. You know what time you're going to wake up. So you're awake before they get there. So that light kicks on. They say, get online. You flop out of the rack pretty fast. You're standing there ready to count off. And so the wake-up training, whatever they want to call it, it is a good thing, but eventually you're used to it. You're squared away. It doesn't take long to get woken up and traumatized, especially when you're tired, to realize I better be prepared when these guys walk in the door.
교학생들이 잠이 들었을 때 그리고 갑자기 깨우고 혼란 상태를 주었을 때 얼만큼 정신을 집중하고 그 아위궤한 상태에서 내가 우선순위와 바른 판단을 하는지 그것들을 보기 위한 훈련의 일종입니다.
교관님들, 고나신 꼰새끼들.
Now, here in the United States, you get all this nonsense about the drill instructors putting hands on you. Look in the description about the recent elimination of the shark attack in Army boot camp. As you can see, this is day one of selection. You know, pretend, right? But day one of selection, they're grabbing them, they're adjusting them, they're trying to get them motivated. They're not trying to hurt them. They're trying to get them to go through the course in the real world, right? Let's say this was UDT training for the SEALs in the Korean military. These guys are trying to give them a taste of it, and they don't ham it up too much for the cameras. This is pretty what I'd expect, pretty typical.
머리 담궈, 다 담궈. 담궈! 담궈! 뭘 씨발 풀어! 어깨 동무 똑바로 해. 교관 지시상 똑바로 들어, 알겠어?
Now, if you watch this compared to, say, Bud's Class 234, these guys are doing a pretty decent job considering they just came off the street. I don't know the whole backstory of this group. They look like they're in fair enough shape to be adequate. You got to remember all these selection courses. They're taking guys. Let's use Bud's, for example. They've come from Great Lakes, right? So they went to Navy boot camp. They're probably not in the greatest of shape by the time they get out of it. Then they go to Bud's. That's how it used to be. So they don't have a lot of training in respect to military combative type of stuff like this. So it's a big shock to the system. Now, I know the Navy has changed it with more prep courses, so hopefully they have more success. I don't know what matters, but these selection programs are just that. They're not even doing the training of, say, a SEAL, in this example, or a Green Beret. Everybody's experienced this who's been in what I'll call the regular military, infantry-style military, the Marine Corps, the Army.
일렬 횡대! 대신 왜 못 차려? 어? 수고하셨습니다! 주둥이 닫아. 몰라. 닫으라고. 확인해. 어? 알겠습니다. 알겠습니다로 배웠어? 옆에 보고 해. 옆에 보고 해. 하기 싫어? 아닙니다! 더 좁게 들어가. 대답하기 싫어? 아닙니다! 아닙니다! 하기 싫어? 아닙니다! 더 좁게요.
You know, these instructors aren't phased at all. And that's what you'd expect, right? They are yelling. I know there's a big misconception among the liberal idiots that you don't need yelling in military training. You don't need yelling in anything. Well, whether it's a sport, it's a military, or anything, where you're trying to get somebody past a hurdle, they yell and scream at them. So anybody who's living in some pipe dream, the military doesn't do it in this type of training. Now, granted, again, the selection and kind of in the training, it happens. It could be pro football.
밀고 난리 났네, 밀고 난리 났어. 격대 안 챙겨? 동기 안 챙길 거야. 이거 알겠어요?
너 지켜볼 거야, 그거. 알았어? 이 동기들 임대로 존나 힘차게 뛰어가.
You know, somebody like this, he's just not prepared. He's out of shape. His pants are falling off. Now, they are wet. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but you'll see some guys like this that you think there's no way in hell they're making it. And they'll get through training because they've got, the iron marshmallow type where they look really soft. They are soft, but they just got the stamina and they're built that way.
교관 지나가. 교관 지나가. 얼굴 쳐 들고 정신 차리고. 12번 제발.
두개 걸어. 빨리 안 뛰어.
어깨동무는 말 안 들려? 말 안 들려 너? 말 안 들려?
Now, all this stuff is not for effect. This happens. Have I been to SEAL training? No. You don't have to be a SEAL training to be at any kind of, today, and what I know of is the Marine Corps boot camp, it's the same thing. They may yell in the stream and have more histrionics, but it's the same point. Asking you rhetorical questions when you're failing at something you're not putting out, or just to see how you're going to respond.
교육생 힘들어. 힘들어. 시간 2번 줄 테니까 다시 생활관 들어가서 군복 상의 하의 똑바로 입고 알겠어? 시간 몇 분? 2분! 뛰어가. 빨리 안 가!
Yeah, they always say you got 2 minutes. Next thing you know, you turn around and they're like 45, 30, 15, 10, you're done, right? Sure, they do something similar. So 2 minutes won't be 2 minutes. It'll probably be 45 seconds. They'll be up there saying you're done. And then people in their head are going to go, no, it's not been 2 minutes yet. And that's not the point, right? If you want to see part 2 of this video, put that in the comments and I'll see you in the next video right here.